Welcome to Clue 4 of the Delectable Collectible Socks. We have an almost finished sock. We need to add some more textures if you have a longer foot, but basically the final part of the sock will be some other stitch options to customize the length of your foot, and you want to stop the foot after the fabric reaches just below the tip of your little toe. So if this is your little pinky toe, we want to stop the sock fabric right here, just below the tip of that little toe before doing the toe decreases. I'm going to show you what the final clue looks like. So if you want to do some extra textures, we finished with the slip stitches. There'll be some fun slip stitch dots, a little bit of twisted ribbing ahead, and some other stripes and textures for you to try. So this is the moment to stop at any time, and you can skip ahead to the toe decreases at any moment, and feel free to customize your colors as well using the leftover colors you have for the remaining stripes. I have a really long foot, so there's some final slip stitch checks here with all the colors. So this gave me a longer length, but you might not get to that if you have like a European size 38, 39, or 40 size foot. My foot is a European 47, so I have to knit some extra length there. But there's textures there for you if you want to lengthen it. So keep on going, and then I'll see you there for the toe tutorial to do those decreases with some fun stripes. And let's keep on going with our socks, customizing the size until the length of the foot reaches just below the tip of your pinky toe, your little toe, and then we'll start the toe decreases. So keep on going. This is the completed foot, and you can knit as many sections as you like to customize the length of your foot. I knit several sections because I have a longer foot, but you might have stopped right after here, or after the twisted ribbing, or maybe even after these slip stitch sections, or this little polka dot section. So finish the foot when it reaches just below the tip of your smallest toe, so then you can start the decreases. Use any two colors for some striped stockinette stitch section on the toe. We'll do some striped stockinette stitches using two colors you have the most of. So I'm going to use this purple color D and color C. I have the most of those remaining for my size. And work the toe, pattern repeat, round 1. We're going to use two colors, doing 2 rounds of each color that you have the most of. Knit 1, slip, slip, knit. Knit to 3 stitches before marker. The stitch markers should still be in place. You can move them if they're marked in your fabric. They should be to mark the beginning of the round, and then this is the stitch marker halfway through the round. If you lost track of your stitch markers, then just place a stitch marker after half of your stitches, and that's going to mark where we do the decreases for the toe. Knit to 3 stitches before marker. When you are 3 stitches before the stitch marker, or 3 stitches before the halfway point, knit 2 together, knit 1. Slip the marker, or just leave the marker in the fabric. Knit 1. Slip, slip, knit. Slip knitwise, slip knitwise, 2 together through the back. Knit to 3 stitches before end of round. When you reach the last 3 stitches of the round, knit 2 together, knit 1. 4 stitches were decreased during round 1. Round 2 is a plain round, knitting all of the stitches. Knit to the end of the round, And I'm going to do the weave in Stephen technique. Weave in your ends as you go with those little yarn tails. Knit to end of round, and then you'll be working rounds 1 and 2 with your first color, and then you can customize the toe. You could use as many colors as you like for the toe. You could do color blocks or stripes, but this was what I did for my toe. 2 rounds of color D and 2 rounds of color C. So you can use any 2 colors you like to do 2 rounds of each color, and follow the rounds closely, rounds 1 and 2, then repeat last 2 rounds 5, 7, 8, or 9 more times. So you're going to work decreases every other round until you have 24, 28, 36, or 44 stitches, and then you're going to work decreases every round for very quick decreases until you have the final stitch count of 12, 16, or 20. So keep on going, and I'll see you at the end of the toe. You should have 12, 16, 20, or 20 stitches, depending on your size, at the end of the toe, looking like this. And break your yarn. If you did stripes, then break the previous color that you did before your final color. You can break that and put it inside the sock. And then we're going to graft the remaining stitches together using the color that you just used for the final stripe. So break the yarn, leaving a tail that's at least 4 times the length of your toe right there. So I have a long tail, about this long, right there. That's plenty. Place it onto a tapestry needle and place half of your stitches from the top foot of the fabric. I have 20 total stitches, so I have 10 stitches on one needle, and then place the other 10 stitches on a second needle. If you have 16 stitches, then you want the first 8 stitches on one needle and the final 8 stitches on the second needle. And we want the needle tips pointing to the right. So if you're working with circulars, you want both of your needles pointing to the right, with half the stitches on the front needle, half the stitches on the back needle. All right, place the yarn onto your tapestry needle. Go through the first stitch on the front needle purlwise. Leave it on. Go through the first stitch on the back needle knitwise. Leave it on. And I'm pulling pretty tight, not too loose. Go through the first stitch on the front needle knitwise, take it off, and then go through the next front needle stitch purlwise. Leave it on. And the back needle, we go purlwise, take it off. The next stitch on the back needle, knitwise, leave it on. All right, now the front needle, we go in as if to knit, take it off. And the next stitch on the front needle as if to purl, leave it on. And the back needle, purl off, knit on. The front needle, knit off, purl on. And after each time I'm pulling the yarn so that it's going to close up that toe seamlessly. The back needle, we go purl off, knitwise, leave it on. The front needle, we go knit off, purl on. The back needle, as if to purl, take it off, and then as if to knit, leave it on. And the front needle, as if to knit, take it off, as if to purl, leave it on. Back needle, purl off, knit on. And the front needle, knit off, purl on. The back needle, purl off, knit, leave it on. And a few more to go on each needle. Keep on going until you reach one final stitch on each needle. And I'm pulling pretty tight, not super tight, but enough so it leaves a nice tidy stitch there. If it looks a little bit loose, you can tug on the strands. You can pull on the strands to even them out. Knitwise off, purlwise leave it on. And I have 2 stitches on each needle. Knitwise off, purlwise leave it on. The back needle, purlwise off, knitwise. Ooh. That came off of my tapestry needle. Let's get that back on there. All right, knitwise, leave it on that back needle. So when you have one final stitch remaining, you did the purlwise off, or you did the knitwise off, purlwise on. And the back needle, you did purlwise off, knitwise on. The final stitch, you go in as if to knit, and the back needle, you go in as if to purl. Pull the yarn through, and that is the end of the toe. We have this beautiful delectable collectible sock filled with textures, all of those fun stripes. What a beautiful contrast color effect with those 5 colors. Poke that tail into the inside of the sock. And then lastly, just flip your sock inside out, and we just need to weave in any ends that we missed, that we didn't weave in during the knitting process. So here at the toe, I have a couple. Here's that final end, and I like just to whip stitch my ends into the purl bumps on the wrong side. For about 10 or 12 stitches is enough. So I'm going through to the other side. I might just do a couple more going back the other way since I've reached the other side already. This is plenty, but sometimes I just do 1 or 2 others. Whenever I feel like, oh, yep, that's enough, just 1 or 2 more, and that's a-okay. And there's lots of ends inside. A lot of these I wove in as I knitted, so these I just need to trim. I just need to cut those with some snips. So just cut your ends that are already woven in, not right into the fabric, but leave a little room like that where you cut the yarn so that there's some wiggle room for those tails. And I was being pretty good at weaving in almost all of my ends, but you might find a few here and there that still need to be woven in. So just place them onto the tapestry needle. And you can also go through a bunch of bumps at the same time. So I'm going to go into these green bumps that are the same color as my tail of yarn. And you can just go through about 10 of those all at the same time. And then you can pull it through to weave in your ends all in one go. So finish weaving your ends and snip them, and the last thing you'll need to do is to wash your sock. I usually just soak it in cool water, not too hot. Just soak the sock in water and let it soak thoroughly and get it all saturated with water, and then squeeze out the water and then just lay it flat to dry on a towel or something. You can follow all of the same instructions from cuff to toe identically for the second sock. So follow all the instructions again to knit a matching sock using the same colors. If you want to get creative with some other contrast color pops towards the end of your sock, I think that would look really fun to add some yellow in the toe or spice it up with some extra color pops. So I hope you had fun knitting the Delectable Collectible Socks. It's such a fun sampler of stitches, and now you know how to do bubbles and droplets and some brioche, bobbles, dip stitches, twisted ribbing, short rows, picking up stitches. Such a symphony of fun stitch techniques, and I can't wait to see all your color combos. So share those on Instagram and in the Ravelry group. Use the hashtag Delectable Collectible Socks for those posts, and I can't wait to try some other socks with you again next year. So thanks for knitting along. I'll see y'all later.